Hello, nice to meet everyone. As I said, if you want to ask any questions, feel free to do it on the chat. My name is Chlebek. For those who don't recognize me in any way, I'm always introducing myself with this slide because my surname, Polish surname translated directly into English, is Bredman, which is why I decided to use AI in creative way to build some kind of character to try to keep you engaged during the presentations I'm having. And as you can see, those are the same pictures. I'll be talking shortly about how to do something like that on your own if you want to as well. Going through this session, we'll be talking to who can exactly benefit from Azure credits. And to be honest, not only Azure, but also through all the clouds that are accessible for you. I will be showing you a few ways how to get Azure credits in some specific scenarios, and I will do some live demos for you from the most interesting ways I would assume that you can use those credits, at least from my personal use. I want to keep this session practical to let you understand some of the fun stuff you can do either for yourself or your company. And I really want to encourage you to experiment on your own. I'll be showing just a few ways to do something with AI, do something with Azure, and the world is open, so you can do whenever you want to, because technology grants us many approaches, many ways to resolve one of the issues we want to tackle. And whenever I'll be showing something, please keep in mind that there are 20 ways to do the thing I'm showing you. So even though it's maybe not applicable to you to use some credits for free, you may need to pay for something, there are other free alternatives that work the same way or really similarly. When it comes to the accessibility of this session, it's, to be honest, for everyone, but I'll be showing you two specific examples that are in many cases really useful. First of all, Microsoft partners that are especially small to medium companies have access not only to Azure credits from their advanced specialization solution partnership or other Microsoft programs, but they are also having multiple licenses that goes to it. And when you're working in a company that is, let's say, for example, up to 100 people, you can be really flexible with how you leverage those licenses. For example, I'm working in the company that is having more than 100 employees, but we are a consulting company, which is Microsoft partner, and we have more than 70 Visual Studio Enterprise licenses, and each of those licenses have 153 monthly Azure credits to leverage. So from that perspective, more than half of the company have access to free Azure resources to do this on their own. There are some student offering as well that can be leveraged and are accessible and give you credits, give you many opportunities I would talk about too. And to be honest, as I said, if you have free time, there are also plenty of ways to experiment for free. There are multiple free resources on Azure, and not only on Azure, also on Google Cloud Platform, AWS, and any other cloud provider you can imagine. Going into the partner way, this is an example from what we have as a company. And to be honest, what I know from the experience that multiple small to medium companies are not exactly trying to leverage what they have available. In this specific scenario, we are solution partner in two categories. We are also in ISV program. So as you can see, it gives us yearly access to more than 30,000 US dollars. In many cases, I would assume that most of those credits went unused, especially from that perspective that management of partner capabilities, partner offering and benefits is in most cases only assigned to one of the administrators in your organizations. So If you are a small company that has partnership status, please try to ask your IT if something is accessible, because you may not even know that you may use multiple licenses or credits that are accessible for free. It is especially important from the perspective I said previously that there are licenses available such as Microsoft Visual Studio Enterprise, and for each user that is assigned there, you have access to 150 monthly Azure credits. You have also access, as of this fiscal year, because Microsoft added it, to multiple Power Automate and Power Platform licenses. In some cases, it's up to 25 licenses, and they are being stacked up with multiple partner programs. So you can not only build automations, also applications, and also there are up to 5 licenses in some of the programs to have Power Automate processes. So it also applies to RPA automations that are working in attended mode, or any Microsoft Power Automate flow that should work heavily. When you are a student, there is something that is called Microsoft GitHub Student Developer Pack, and it offers you plenty of ways to try to experiment with both AI and web development. Here are just some of them. You have access to GitHub Copilot for free, which gives you access in VS Code or any other IDE to experiment with GPT-5, Anthropic, Claude 4, and many other models. You can host your own websites, your own domains to a few vendors that are accessible, and you can also get access to free Azure credits if you are a student 18 plus years old. There are also multiple options that are available for free. You can register to Azure, and for 30 days, you have access to free 200 credits. And this is not everything that is accessible, because you can also use many of the services that are accessible on Azure for free. You can do, for example, Azure Text-to-Speech, which per month grants you an ability to convert to speech up to about 150 A4 pages of text. So for example, it can be leveraged to create interactive videos or tutorials on applications you have internally in organizations and create voiceover for those. You can use AI translator if you have multiple documents to translate, and it's often not easy to use the simplest tools available on the web to translate some documents. But if you plug it into Azure, you have 2 million characters for free. There are also ways to host both backend and front-end logic. For backend, we have Azure Functions and Logic Apps. Logic Apps is the Azure Power Automate subsidiary. And you can also host static web apps for free. And in many cases, it will be something that can be sufficient to create your own small company or to do some demos for bigger companies as a standalone website to demonstrate something. There are hundreds of those offerings that are listed for free. If you go to the link I'm showing you on the slide, you will see that there are databases, there are AI services, website, and anything you can imagine that is related to what can be hosted on Azure with some kind of a free tier that is accessible. Also, if you want to experiment on your own, which is highly useful because you may be in some cases limited by what your organizations allow you to do, there is something called Microsoft 365 Developer Program, which allows you to create your own tenant with up to 25 licensed accounts for development purposes. It is accessible mostly to Microsoft partners or people that have some kind of benefit with Microsoft, but it's also applicable to Premier or Unified Support Plan members, which means that high-tier enterprise companies, or probably most of the companies that works with Azure, are covered under this because many of companies are paying extra to have proper support from Microsoft on Azure resources. If you won't be able to do it and you want to experiment on your own, There is also always a paid option. I believe this is the cheapest one. You can buy single E1 license for $7 monthly, and it will allow you to create your own tenant and do anything you want to internally, which means also setting up free accounts, free Azure trial subscriptions, etc. And now let's switch to doing something practical, because this is what really shows you how simple it may be for you to leverage some kind of AI applications. And I'm gonna start with showing you how easy it is to build your own simple website. You can, to do this, you can do almost all AI providers that have large language models. To build a simple HTML website, you can also go to something more advanced, but I want to show you the simplest way to approach it. Soon it will be also possible to host those kind of web-based applications, React web-based applications, directly in Power Platform via code apps. So this is also something that will be driving the market to innovate with more pro-code approaches other than standard low-code development that we knew from Power Platform previously, such as Canvas apps. So let's go to some real examples. We can do it in two ways. I will start with the simplest one. I'm gonna take my session and I'm gonna press Copilot button on my keyboard just to open a pop-up, and I'm gonna write a prompt. I want to create a simple HTML website about this session. And I'm gonna paste everything from my session to give the model some kind of context to iterate. When I'm gonna send it, it will start working and it will create me a website with automatic preview that I could host everywhere, anywhere I would want to. In case of what Copilot returns, it will be a really simple website, but let's imagine you have some workshop to handle. You can, in this way, put an agenda and host this website as something that anyone wants to access to review. If you are working also for smaller company, you may have some demos, some practical approaches and implementations to preview or to share with your clients. In case of my organizations, for example, we are doing some kind of POC, some kind of envisioning using directly AI and standard web development practices, which are really close to what I'm showing you here. And using this approach, creating only mockups, only static websites, we can, for example, create a vision for real-time analytics dashboard that then could be, for example, built using Fabric or any other tool like that. We can also build something that is more interactive. We have, for example, a website that is around Power BI writebacks. And if I'm gonna press a button, you can see that it's just a static website. It was built using AI, but it gives you some vision how to iterate with it, how to build something. And to do something like that, to be honest, it's really simple. It took maybe 1 day, maybe 2 days to implement, no longer than that. If you have access to Visual Studio and Copilot, you can build the website the same way with AI built into your editor. And for this case, for example, I'm gonna just maybe do the same scenario I did previously about the workshop, but you're gonna see that it will have way different result than what I showed you previously. So I'm just gonna quickly write the prompt. It will think for a few seconds, and after that, I'll be able to launch it directly into Azure. To do so, I'm going to use static web apps, which are accessible for free. And if you have access to Azure subscription, you can create resource group in which you can create resources. So I'm going to just do it right now to show you how simple it is to host such simple HTML-based website. I'm going to search for static web app in the Azure Marketplace, press it to create, press create, and then do some simple configuration. Those static web apps have two tiers. First of one is the free one, which you can use almost anytime you want to, and it doesn't have any hidden costs. You can connect it to Azure Function to have some dynamic elements on the backend. But to do something simple, it will be more than sufficient to use that free tier without paying. I'm gonna press Other in the deployment. I'm gonna quickly create this resource. And let's see in the meantime, when it is creating, what AI did. Oh, it gets stuck for a second. GPT-5 sometimes does this and it's thinking in the background, but it's not really doing any proper development. I'm gonna maybe quickly change to Cloud model to ask the same because it probably would do it way faster. And I just want to show you how easy it would be to deploy such a website. It is created now. I'm just gonna take a deployment key to try to push it to production right away during live session. So to do it, we basically need to go to the resource, but it will be think for a second. And at the top here, we have a button to manage deployment token. This token is what is being used to perform the deployment operation. We have also here the link to the domain, which will be where the website I'm gonna create will be hosted. So if you want to have a custom domain, you obviously need to buy it and register it under custom domains. It's also really simple operations. And then you have a full-fledged company website or any other demo website you would imagine. I'm just gonna quickly take this window just to steal the deployment token and not show it to you. There is a file, and also what I'm showing you here is an example that will be accessible to you to directly take from the GitHub repository and try to experiment yourself. I'm gonna also take this window right away just to paste the token here. And let's see what's the current status on the website. Maybe let's open it like that. Okay, it's still thinking it didn't do anything proper, but it sometimes happens like that. If I would create probably the website from startup, it would be way easier. But let's give it a second, maybe. Or you know what? It can be processing in the background for a second. I'm just gonna show you with this example how simple it would be to do the deployment. It's basically adding this deployment token and also running one function in a terminal that will push that HTML file to Azure Static Web Apps. And using this approach, you would be able to do it. I'm having an issue here. Okay. Let's ignore that, to be honest. I will go to another demos because I'm not sure what happened here. It should be working. I probably broke something. before the session, so let's just ignore it. Yeah, but the website locally, as you can see, after a second was created, and this is the result. So it's something nice that you would be able to present somewhere. Going forward, for the possibilities themselves, I would highly encourage you to try to use any AI models that are available when it comes to image creation, maybe even some video creation, but especially image. In the few last months, image models were getting way ahead because previously, last year, we have plenty of issues, for example, with how the text is being embedded on the images, but right now it's really simple to handle. We can use Azure AI Foundry to use GPT image model, but you can also do it in the chat GPT itself. You have an ability to create up to 4 images daily with a free account. You can use Midjourney, you can use AI functionalities that are being built into Canva, Adobe products, or anything else you can imagine, just to experiment and build something like this. Just to give you an example, I was talking about those graphics. I always wanted to have something personal for myself. And this is what I was basically creating using one reference graphic I created with AI, and then asking the AI to recreate this graphic, showing some kind of emotion or this doing something. And this way, I was able to create myself multiple images for, and I believe that for 200 images you see here, I paid probably around 20 euro tops. I really wanted to do something like this with graphic designer, to be honest, but I never encouraged myself, and I'm also not getting any finance incentive from doing those presentations. So I would then pay for something that I would not earn money from in my scenario. So I decided to go that way. And it's really simple to implement, to be honest. In case, for example, of AI Foundry, if you create resource in Azure, you can access multiple models. In this case, for example, when you go to the playground section and you create the model deployment, you can access both chat playgrounds to do some stuff with GPT models. You can do video playground to create some videos. And what I showed you previously in the slide is image playground, which currently has access to GPT image model. And this model is really good when it comes to creating some simple graphics or even graphics with texts, as you can see in those examples. I did the same scenario here. So basically, I asked the model to create some infographics based on the description of the session I've provided, and it came with some ideas. Obviously, some of them will not be great. In some cases, you'll be seeing some issues. For example, here, number 10 was generated 2 times. But if you iterate a few times, you may obtain really good results to do something fast, to try to build a vision. You can obviously then try to work with real graphic designers, talk to humans, iterate, and create something even better. But AI gives you capability to imagine something that you weren't thinking about, to build you some vision of how the finished thing should look like without need to have hour-long discussion. You can basically bring an example which is already created and tell somebody, I want something like this, but better. And they will already know what you want to achieve. Also, something that is quite interesting is the video creation capabilities. It is quite costly, to be honest, but it's also possible either with Azure AI Foundry or Google Cloud with recently released models. Probably most of the stuff you are seeing on LinkedIn currently about video generations is based on Google models, but you may also try to experiment with it, which I highly encourage you to do. Next thing that is possible overall with the credits, especially if you are able to have some credits accessible for free, is to do some connected billings. So one of the things we are doing as a small company is to leverage those Visual Studio Enterprise subscriptions to enable developers to use GitHub Copilot with premium requests. Obviously, there are multiple AI editors available, such as Cursor or Windsurf, to do something. Or you can also experiment directly in the chat-based interfaces. But in many cases, especially for free tiers, you'll find some throttling or timeouts, which will make it impossible for you to iterate further. If you set up something like this directly via Azure Billing and you have some credits available for you, you may not even pay for it, but you'll have access to what is available in the Pro or Business, Copilot Business plans. And this is what exactly I'm leveraging to experiment with AI on my own. I have created my own GitHub organization, which is created to my personal Azure subscription, which I have full control over. And I basically set up my own Copilot plan, which is personal. It could be also be done on the company level. If you have been onboarded on GitHub, there may be a possibility for your company to already have access to those tools because it's publicly available. In this case, I have full control over what I did with it. So I can leverage all the models that are in premium tier, like Claude Sonnet 4, like GPT-5, and recently released XAI model. And I can manage them, enable them locally to work personally or to do some work stuff. As I said, I have access personally to credits that is $150 per month. And using this approach, I can additionally set up additional budgets on the GitHub, which would allow me to either spend some money on GitHub Copilot premium requests or do some kind of CI/CD with GitHub Actions, also without the same payment structure. As I said, there will be not that much about Power Platform itself, but I have also one slide regarding this because not so many people think about that, but it's possible to set up fully pay-as-you-go plans for both Power Apps, meaning Canvas app, model-driven apps, Power Pages, and Copilot Studio. It is probably the most widely used for Copilot Studio because there you can either pay as you go per message or you can buy message packs. So that's quite known there. But for Power Apps itself and Power Automate, it's not that widely used as far as I'm aware. And it's really easy to set up in the same way to allow you to host the applications locally for your organizations using Azure credits you have. To set up the building, you basically need to go to Admin Center. You obviously need to have access. And under licensing and billing plans, you can create a billing plan based on the Azure subscription. So let's do something like that here. I'm just gonna write some random characters to show you how simple the process here is. You can use this billing to either pay for Dataverse capacity for the production environments, or you can directly assign it to some products. For example, as I said, to Copilot. In case if you have really small managed pool of credits on Azure that is accessible for you, it could be used, for example, to host your own company Copilot to do some HR stuff or do some question answering for the company procedures or anything like that. And it would be quite simple to deploy using this approach. after I'm going to select something, I just need to assign it to a given environment, and then I will be able to use it. So for example, here I have an environment with Canvas applications, and by default, it was already checked in that those applications I have deployed here will be available under pay-as-you-go billing. So if the user that is trying to open the application does not have Power Apps license, they will be able to access this application without the license assigned to them. It is obviously a bit more pricey using this scenario, because for Canvas apps, pay per app pass is $5, pay as you go is $10 per month, and per user license to allow unlimited applications is $20. But if you are using it in a manner in which you are not having control over how many people are accessing the applications, or you want to test something, do some kind of POC, you can always leverage those billing plans, those pay-as-you-go options that are accessible without investment into proper licensing, which is, as I said, really useful if you want to try to use Copilot Studio. The last thing I can show you here is also an encouragement for you to try to leverage what's accessible in Azure Marketplace, because it's not only a space for you to browse what is available in a Microsoft ecosystem from Microsoft itself, but there are also many ISVs that do some kind of offering there to deploy already created application to Azure and then allow you to use them. It's also connected to Azure subscription, so you can try to leverage that any way you want to. For example, just to give you some taste, I know that there is one product here that is created just for the purpose of translating Power BI reports by pasting a file to this application that is built, and to have basically the full dashboard you have created translated automatically based on the phrases, based on the middle Excel file that is being created for you. And this is something that is available on this market right away. There are multiple products like that. They may be a bit hidden, but if you are trying to look for partner publishing services, you may be able to find some of them. If you go to different categories that are accessible here, you may be also able to find some of the different products that are accessible. You can also host, for example, your own WordPress instance. You can create some kind of backups for your data, which should be quite cheap in many cases. So everything you can see here is ready for you to explore. And this is what I really want to encourage you to do, to try to approach with clear mind, because as I said, everything is accessible publicly, which means many people will try it before you, many people will try it after you, but it doesn't matter, to be honest. The thing that matters is that you have an idea that it's possible to be leveraged. You have an idea that you can, for example, ask the GPT image model to create something, to build a vision. You have an ability to build HTML files to do something technical and to push something that may be simple, maybe a bit more advanced, but will be able to help you express yourself or deliver something, such as a presentation, because even a simple website can be used as a brochure, for example. You don't need to build a PowerPoint. You can also iterate with AI to build simple website and release it like that. When it comes to this session, we are getting close to the end. All the session materials are accessible on the GitHub repository. I'll be pasting the link on the chat in a second in case you want to use it. I will also have there a full example how to deploy static web app because something went wrong during this presentation, but I will fix it right away to show you that it really works. And with that, I think it's a wrap on my end. I will be happy to be taking any questions because we still have a few minutes to discuss. So yeah.